Welcome back, NYC Fragrance family. Yes, finally the full niche list. Here I'm going to give you 16. 15, one honorable mention. Reason why it's honorable mention is because I've mentioned so many times, it's kind of like on so many lists that, yeah, I like to mention because it is probably my favorite fragrance from the brand. And it's one of the fragrances that got me into niche early on when I discovered niche fragrances. The honorable mention that I'm talking about is from the House of Creed, Creed Royal Oud. Now, if you know this one, it's just a beautiful woody sandalwood. Not much of an oud thing. It's got the creaminess to it, spiciness to it. It's just a great woody scent that I fell in love with at first sniff. And I enjoy this one in the fall season, and I plan on wearing it during the fall season. But I have this as an honorable mention, or else it'll probably be ranked number one. But I'm trying to give you different things here. At number 15, from a house that I also got into early on in the niche realm, that I really enjoy, comes from the House of Mancera, Wild Cherry. Like the pattern on that bottle, it's pretty cool. This one's one of the older ones, got the twist off top. Powdery cherry fragrance. Some may think this leans a little bit feminine. I think this is unisex. Once the dry down happens, you'll see what I'm talking about. It can be worn by both sexes, no problem. Initially, when you spray it on, you may get a feminine vibe or may think it's a little feminine, but give it a little bit of time to dry down and it'll be right there. So this one's at number 15. So basically the rankings, just to get into that real quick, I go by Fragrantica ratings at the time that I put my list together. This one got number 15 because at the time it got a 3.71 rating. At number 14, a fragrance that I would probably have somewhere in the top 5, maybe even number 1, 2 at the worst. But from another house that I really enjoy their fragrances, I have a lot of their fragrances. I think I own about 6 or 7 of them. From the House of Nichane comes Karagoz. Karagoz, probably one of the best vetiver scents out there. Masculine, with that grape accord in it. It's just a different type of vibe and a different type of fragrance. Like I said, to me, 100% masculine. I know they consider it unisex, but for me it's a very masculine scent because of the way the vetiver is put together in this fragrance. Beautiful scent at number 14 with a 3.77 Fragrantica rating, Karagoz. At number 13, from the house created by the perfumer Olivier Cresp and his son-in-law and his daughter, so it's like a trio of people, comes the brand Acro, and the fragrance I have is Dark. Dark is one of those sexy, seductive, snuggle scents, vanilla, chocolate. You get that vibe, you get that nice, cozy feeling. It's not quite a fragrance for the winter, but you could probably wear it in the winter too when you're doing that, being up close to somebody. But it's more of a fall vibe. It's not really such a strong gourmand. It's venturing into the gourmand territory, venturing into a fall fragrance. So it's kind of like a transitional fragrance. You might have versatility to wear this on many date occasions, but I consider this a date fragrance. This one's at number 13, got a 3.88 on Fragrantica, Acro Dark. At number 12, from the house of L'Artisan Parfumé, comes Timbuktu. This is a beautiful scent. I mean, the fragrance ratings that it's getting, I mean, here we're getting over a 4. This one got a 4.11 on Fragrantica when I made the list. Mango, vetiver, enough said. You want a masculine vetiver scent with that slight fruitiness that comes from the mango. It's just rich. It's just enveloping. It's just a beautiful fragrance for the fall. And you get this at relatively good prices if you look on discounters. From the house of L'Artisan Parfumé, Timbuktu. At number 11, another early discovery. One that I discovered at an event here in NYC. And it just grabbed my attention and I had to walk out with the bottle. From the house of Profumum Roma, Confetto. Now, Confetto gets compared to a fragrance from the house of Parfum de Marly called Pegasus. It has a similar vibe to Pegasus, but it's not quite Pegasus. This has an anise vibe to it, which gives it a little bit different take. And if we're going to go on record, Confetto came out first. So comparing one to the other, it may have to be the other way around. Beautiful fall scent. I love the way this smells. I mean, I just sprayed it in the air. It's taken over the room. With a Fragrantica rating of 4.12 and number 11 on my list, Parfumum Roma Confetto. Speaking of the fragrance that I just spoke about, that my last fragrance was compared to, at number 10, the newer version of the fragrance I spoke about, Parfum de Marly Pegasus Exclusive. This fragrance got a 4.14 rating on Fragrantica. And let me tell you something. This takes the original and just gives it a twist that makes it that much more elegant, that much more enjoyable for me. I do like Pegasus and I do like Parfumum Roma's Confetto, obviously. But I find that this Pegasus Exclusive is just a little bit more my taste than the original Pegasus. And I can't wait to rock this in the fall. It was gifted to me by somebody that is very close to me. So it keeps a special place in my collection, and I will cherish this bottle for a long, long time. At number 9, from a house that has many nice fragrances and definitely needs to be discovered more, from the house of Théo Cabanel comes Café Cabanel. This is a French cafe, sitting at a French cafe in a bottle. Beautiful gourmand, pastry notes, cafe au lait note, almost like a caramel latte type thing going on too as well. The perfumer behind this is Cécile Zarokian. You know, if you know the channel, if you heard me talk about her before, she makes some of the most amazing fragrances out there. This, and there are quite a few other ones from Théo Cabanel that you should probably check out. If you haven't checked this one out, this is my favorite to date. I haven't smelled everything in their collection, but as of now, Café Cabanel is my favorite. This is a great gourmand for the fall season. It's got just a melange of notes. It's a very non-linear fragrance. It changes throughout the wearing. Something you definitely want to experience. This fragrance got a 4.17 on Fragrantica. At number 9, Théo Cabanel's Café Cabanel. At number 8, this house could be made the argument that it's designer, not niche. For me, the way the fragrances are and what I see and how it's not mainstream, I consider this niche. From the house of Hayari, Only for Him. Only for Him got a 4.18 on Fragrantica. Man, that's such a good fragrance. I can't understand how it's not talked about more, or how people don't know about this fragrance. This is a really good, creamy, fougere style, gentleman style fragrance. Pushes. Good performance. Price wise, you're looking at, Bleu de Chanel type price. If you're going to buy Bleu de Chanel, I would buy something like this. I mean, you'll stand out. At number 8 on my list, Hayari, Only for Him. At number 7, a house that I've had a few fragrances reviewed on the channel. I got very familiar with this house from the Middle East. The fragrances that they sent me to review, they're awesome standouts. And listen, people on Fragrantica have said what they have said. This made it to number 7 on the list. Fragrantica rating of 4.21 from the house of Junaid Parfums comes Attique. This here is just vanilla vibes, if you think about it. Beautiful vanilla scent, long lasting, kind of along the lines of a Xerjoff Lyra type fragrance, if you're familiar with that. Creamy, delicious, just lasts and lasts. And if we're going to say this, and it is a niche brand, some people may say maybe it's a clone brand. I don't consider it a clone brand. I want to say it's a niche brand. I don't really feel that The fragrances, most of the ones I've tried and most of the ones that I have, there's only one that really reminds me of like another fragrance, like Tuscan Leather. Whereas this, yeah, has that long, type vibe of like Lyra, but it's not Lyra at all. But it is a great vanilla fragrance. And for the price, it's under $50. Highly recommend checking this house out if you haven't. Junai Parfums Attique. At number 6, one of the kings of barbershop fragrances, one of the houses that makes a lot of gentleman style fragrances, from the house of Penhaligon's, Sartorial. Sartorial gets a 4.22 rating on Fragrantica. It's number 6 on my list. I know I'm wasting sprays out of a little tiny bottle, but I love smelling this stuff. This is just, when I'm in that mood to smell that barbershop fragrance, this is one of the very few on my short list of fragrances that I would reach for. Maybe Invasion Barbary would be another one. I don't own a bottle. I have inspired expressions of it or something similar to it. Down the line, I like to get a bottle of that, but if I'm going right for the niche brand or a niche brand barbershop, I'm going for Sartorial. I love the spiciness of it. I just love how this is blended. I believe this is Bertrand de Chaufour, which, as you all know, he makes a lot of great fragrances. So at number 6, Penhaligon's Sartorial. At number 5, a fragrance that I only have the travel spray, but, a little goes a long way with some of these fragrances. From the house of Histoire de Parfums comes 1899. Here you got a nice bergamot, iris, somewhat floral, but just, again, another elegant fragrance. It kind of almost, it's got a creaminess to it. It's got that nice sweet floral, not a powdery floral. Just works, and it's a great fragrance. This is one that I feel is bottle worthy of a bigger bottle, and at some point I'll probably get it, because out of Histoire de Parfums bottle worthy bottles that I have, or full size bottles, I have 1828 as of now, and I own a host of the travel sprays. These travel sprays you can pick up for $35. Well worth it to have, well worth it to give it a whirl and give it a try. This brand makes some really nice, smooth, I don't know about crowd pleasing, but easy to wear fragrances. They're not very challenging. That much I can say. This came in at 4.27 on Fragrantica. It's number 5 on my list, and for good reason. So at number 5, Histoire de Parfums, 1899, Hemingway. At number 4, a fragrance I probably don't wear enough of. From the house of Jo Malone comes Oud and Bergamot. Now this may be listed as a cologne intense as far as on the brand site. That orange oud note combined with the bergamot, it seems like such a simple fragrance, but it's just so elegant. And I don't like, again, when you have so many fragrances, it's like things get lost in the shuffle. This is one I definitely need to revisit a lot more this fall. I'm sitting on a 100 ml bottle, which is going to last me probably till my grandkids. The way the collection's going. But, this is definitely something that should be a regular wear. This is definitely, I would say, an office safe fragrance if you wanted to wear it to the office. You could also dress it up. As you know, with Jo Malone, they're layering fragrances, so you look at their layering combination and you could change the profile of the fragrance as well by wearing it with one of their other fragrances. But even on its own, Oud and Bergamot, fantastic fragrance. Got a 4.3 rating on Fragrantica, number 4 on my list, and well deserved. At number 3, from a house that is just taking over the niche realm, it seems like. Every release that you've been seeing videos on and reviews on lately, and whenever there's a discussion of this brand, there's never anything bad to say. You always hear about unique, quality, elegance, so on and so forth. From the house of Roja Dove comes Creation E. Now Creation E's got that cola vibe, that root beer vibe, very masculine, dry down. Some people will say old manish. And you know what? It has that vibe of an older fragrance, without a doubt. It definitely has like that powerhouse vibe on the dry down. but it is one that just lingers. People smelling it on you, they definitely comment, they pick up on it, they ask what it is. It is a statement maker. This got a 4.34 rating on Fragrantica, again for good reason, and it's number 3 on my list, Roja Dove Creation E. Number 2 on my list is probably the best tobacco fragrance out there, if not the best, one of the best. Another house that has been a recent discovery. Another house that's putting out some really good fragrances from what I can see, because there's reviewers reviewing different fragrances from this house. But if you want a really elegant tobacco fragrance, from the house of Plume Impression, Rivalit Imperial. It's got a 4.51 rating on Fragrantica. 4.51 out of 5. That's, how much closer to perfection do you want? It means a lot of people are loving this fragrance, and I am surely loving it. This is another one that's got to get some more wears this fall. Probably didn't get enough last fall, but again, like I said, going through all the fragrances, sometimes it gets a little crazy. But at number 2, well deserved, Plume Impressions Rivalit Imperial. Now this number 1 fragrance, again, I went by Fragrantica ratings, so nobody start throwing things at the camera and saying, "Oh, you're a shill," or you're advocating for this brand, or whatever the case may be. That is not it. I do really enjoy this fragrance too, and it does belong to be on this list. Whether it's according to people on Fragrantica, this is the highest rated fragrance that I have in this 15. It got a 4.57, so it just edged out the last one. From the house of Kieran NYC, Rose Inc. This to me is the most easy wearing rose fragrance out there. It's got just enough of a powdery essence. It's got enough of a sweet essence. It's got enough of everything to make it a right down the line unisex wearing fragrance. Attention grabbing, smooth, really well made fragrance. They believe in making everything with natural ingredients. Environmentally safe, environmentally sound, with the environment in mind. They're a green style company. Kieran NYC, Rose Inc. My number 1, based on Fragrantica rating of a 4.57 for fall 2021. So, I finally got through that whole list. You have no idea what's been going on while I've been trying to film this video, between dogs and airplanes and stopping and everything else that's been going on. 15 fragrances, quite ambitious, I know. I gave you 16 because I had the honorable mention. So, new viewers, thank you for stopping by. New subscribers, thank you for joining the NYC Fragrance family. NYC Fragrance family, from the bottom of my heart, I know you've been waiting for this list. Sorry it took so long, but here it is. You guys out there, give the video a thumbs up. It lets YouTube and everybody else know about the video, and more views, and people will get to know and see this list. Hit that subscribe button so this way you can join the NYC Fragrance family. And make sure you hit the notification bell so that you get notified when my new videos come out. Although they're not as frequent as some of the other channels, at least you'll know when I upload a new video. And until the next time, remember, if you smell good, you feel good. Have a nice day. I can't even get the tagline finished. That's great. That was great.